2017 World Championships, we have a match between Ryan Lowe coming from the APAC region versus Zheyuan Huang. He has been streamed before. He was the runner-up at the Madison, Wisconsin Regional Championships. He prefers to be called Ken. That's actually, I believe, his other name that he goes by. But anyways, we're ready to go. Both of these players are ready. One win. They qualify for day 2 of the World Championships. And, you know...
It's win or go home.
Yeah,
it's do or die.
Home. Win or go home, yeah.
It's not quite like Top Cut or the finals, but this is do or die. It's such an important match here because if they win this match, they get to move on to day 2 and then start fresh.
Yep, and here we are, team preview between the two players. Ryan on your left, Zheyuan on your right. Snorlax, Pheromosa, Mimikyu, Smeargle, Tapu Lele, and Porygon Z are the Pokemon that Ryan is bringing on his team. Zheyuan on the right, running Tapu Koko, Snorlax, Gastrodon, Celesteela, Garchomp, and Arcanine.
Yeah, you've got the standard team on Ken's side with more of kind of a trend towards the slower, bulkier, more of a stall variant. You see Gastrodon, which we haven't really seen too much of lately in the format. And Celesteela and Snorlax and the Intimidate, you're able to stall a lot, but it's still such a standard core. The Garchomp, Tapu Koko, Celesteela, Arcanine, and Snorlax are all some of the most popular Pokemon in the format. It's really only Gastrodon there that is kind of that tech choice for Ken. But then on the other side, you see the type of team you never want to face in a tournament because it's so scary looking. There's so many different modes to the team. If you don't lead correctly, you can just get demolished just straight from turn 1. You see the Mimikyu and Snorlax combination, that can be deadly. Pheromosa and Lele are just so fast and powerful and deal so much damage and cover each other's weaknesses very well. And then of course Smeargle and Porygon Z, we saw that both at Japan Nationals and then again at US Internationals with the likes of Marcus running that team. It's just so deadly if you're not able to stop it. So 3, I would say, lead combos that you have to prepare for every single one of them, and it's just so difficult to do.
Yeah, and Marcus was one of the players that piloted that Porygon Z team all the way to the top cut and was really close. Unfortunately, he was stopped by Paul Chua, who ended up becoming the runner-up. Here we are now, Ryan Lowe versus Zheyuan Huang. Zheyuan in the past has actually won a regional championship in this season, not quite this format, all the way back in Philadelphia. Here we are. Gastrodon and Tapu Koko leads for Zheyuan on the top or on the right as you see him. Ryan Lowe on the bottom running Mimikyu and Snorlax, a kind of throwback to what was winning the 2017 Southern California Regional Championships.
Yeah, that kind of hard Trick Room mode, and we even saw it do very well at internationals in Brazil with Ashton Cox having that kind of combo on his team.
Yep, and Zheyuan now going for a discharge. Mimikyu is paralyzed. And is also going to bust the disguise as well. So that also did a lot of damage to that Snorlax as well. Gastrodon using Scald here, going to go ahead and target down Ryan. Snorlax is going to get the burn as well. It does get the burn.
Boy.
So double stabs right there for Zheyuan. It is going to go ahead and munch away on its berry here. It is going to heal back a lot of health thanks to that Figgy Berry. And Snorlax now using Belly Drum, and that's one of the things that's synergistic about Snorlax, Gluttony, and Belly Drum. You're pretty much guaranteed to get up a Belly Drum as Mimikyu now uses Trick Room. So, you know, the damage output is going to be mitigated because of that burn, but
when you're at 6 stages of increased attack, I mean, it's now Snorlax probably won't be able to one-hit KO the Gastrodon thanks to the burn, but it's still going to be able to pick up the KO onto Tapu Koko and other more frail Pokemon. And we also see one of the downsides of Disguise. You can still get afflicted by any status conditions or side effects of moves, as we saw Discharge paralyze it despite doing no damage.
Yep, and Tapu Koko now switches out on Zheyuan's side. Gonna go into Celesteela, which will deal with the Snorlax a lot better. Snorlax using Return here, gonna hit that Celesteela, but thanks to that burn, not even gonna be enough for a 2-hit KO. Mimikyu using Psych Up, though, gonna go ahead and copy Snorlax's stat changes, which is kind of a throwback.
Oh, the Clear Smog!
Gastrodon, what are you doing? Just going for the Clear Smog, just removing its stat changes, but Mimikyu is still set up with 6 stages of increased attack. That's kind of a throwback to the 2008
That is a
World
huge
Championship
throwback.
team.
Yeah, that was my first year playing at Worlds, and we saw the Trick Room Belly Drum Snorlax combo, but it was with Psych Up Metagross, but this is such a throwback to that combination. It's kind of what makes this Mimikyu Snorlax combo so dangerous because you do have to worry about so many different things coming out from the Mimikyu. Not only can it be trained to be really fast and threaten you with like a Z Ghost move, but it can also go for like Destiny Bond, even Z Destiny Bond. It can do things like Psych Up. There's so much that Mimikyu can do that it just makes this combination so deadly until you know exactly what you're up against.
Yep, Snorlax now revealing a move that we don't see often on Snorlax at all. It is going to be Rock Slide, not very effective on that Gastrodon. A little bit of chip to that Celesteela. Mimikyu now revealing Play Rough. Thanks to that paralysis, for sure will be moving slower than that Gastrodon. Picks up the KO. So big paralysis that may be helping Ryan as long as that Mimikyu can continue to be hitting heavy, as the heavy slam next on a Mimikyu, and of course Mimikyu hangs on.
One of the plus sides of being trained to be a bulkier Mimikyu, which this one likely is, considering it relies more on Psych Up for damage rather than a Ghostium Z, is that you're able to take attacks like Heavy Slam from Celesteela, and it pays huge dividends here because you still have a 6 stages of increased attack Mimikyu. Celesteela is getting pretty low in HP, and you still have Snorlax, which is at 6 stages of increased attack, though it is burned, but you're still threatening tons of damage. Now, Intimidate will do a little bit to help against the Snorlax, but Mimikyu still at 5 stages of increased attack, and it's not able to get extreme speeded since it's a ghost type. It is going to have to watch out for the paralysis, of course, but Snorlax is in that extreme speed KO range if Arcanine is carrying that.
Yeah, and Belly Drum's this set on Snorlax is a bit different. Belly Drum usually means that you have one attacking move, either the Return Facade, maybe even a Double Edge, of course. You also usually coverage move with high horsepower, but instead revealing Rock Slide. So this Snorlax is a bit of a more obscure set here, may not have access to all the tools that Snorlaxes enjoy. Now, Celesteela using Protect, not wanting to get KO'd by that Mimikyu just yet. Snorlax using Rock Slide here. It is going to be super effective on that Arcanine. Of course, when there's a Rock Slide, there's a chance to flinch. Is it going to happen? Is Arcanine going to be able to move? Will it even survive what Mimikyu decides to do here? Mimikyu now using Shadow Claw in that Celesteela slot. Zheyuan reactive flinches.
Oh, that's why Rock Slide is considered the best move in the game by certain people, myself included, because of just how much power it has in situations like this where you can both do damage and threaten flinches, which just totally prevent your opponent from even moving. And now you get another chance to do a lot of damage next turn because Celesteela had just protected, so Mimikyu gets another chance at Shadow Claw. Of course, it is still paralyzed, so there's always a chance. And considering Arcanine didn't go for an extreme speed last turn, you have to start wondering, does it even have it?
And here we are going into the turn. Celesteela withdrawing here, not going to want to stay in and get KO'd just yet. Tapu Koko is going to hit the field here, and it is going to be threatened to be KO'd. Arcanine protecting itself, not wanting to get hit by a Rock Slide or a Shadow Claw even. Snorlax does get to go for a Rock Slide here. Going to hit that Tapu Koko for a little bit of damage. Again, that burn from before with that Gastrodon Skull. So important as Mimikyu now goes for a Shadow Claw. Going to hit into that Celesteela slot. It is going to be enough to KO that Tapu Koko. So big damage coming from that Mimikyu. And of course, this is such a strong duo right here. Mimikyu, Snorlax, friends forever.
Yeah, and Zheyuan's already lost 2 of his Pokemon just trying to take out this combination of Mimikyu and Snorlax. He'll finally be able to do so now the Trick Room is out, and Snorlax and Mimikyu are both so low in HP, and they're both extremely slow, especially Mimikyu after the paralysis, so you will be able to pick up 2 KOs here with Celesteela and Arcanine, and probably get a Beast Boost too with Celesteela, which is nice, but there's still 2 remaining Pokemon in the back. They could be very fast Pokemon like Tapu Lele and Formosa, which really don't care the Trick Room just expired.
Arcanine using Flare Blitz here, going to pick the KO on that Snorlax, and of course Celesteela will be able to go for that Heavy Slam and also get a Beast Boost as well on that Mimikyu, and there it is, the Heavy Slam. This Beast Boost will reveal what kind of build this Celesteela is. Usually if you're using Heavy Slam, however, you're most likely going to be getting a special defense boost if you're Celesteela, as we do see the Beast Boost activate now, and here it is, a special defense boost.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see what these final 2 Pokemon are in the back. If they're Pokemon that can take out Celesteela and Arcanine, as long as Tapu Lele does have to watch out for Celesteela, but it is very strong against Arcanine because it threatens so much damage. Smeargle will be really interesting because it can do so much.
Porygon Z!
That's going to be very good here because Porygon Z is going to have room to boost if that is what its set is. Porygon Z is another one of those Pokemon that can run so many different sets. We see Choice Scarf. Sage and Park had very early in the format used a Scarf Porygon Z set to great effect, but we've also seen on the likes of Marcus's team as well as the team at Japan Nationals that got top 8 with Porygon Z and Smeargle went for the Z conversion instead. So there's so many different things Porygon Z can do. Even a Z Hyper Beam is an option. We'll see what it has here.
Yep, and Porygon Z actually moves after the Arcanine So Arcanine gets to go for a Flare Blitz here, going to hit that Smeargle and break it down to its Focus Sash as the Smeargle went for a Fake Out onto that. Oh, the burn! Make sure that Smeargle will not be able to stick around at all, and now Porygon Z going to go for a Z move here. It is going to be the Normalium Z. Is it going to be the Hyper Beam Breakneck Blitz, or is it going to be a possible Z conversion here? It is going to be the Breakneck Blitz. That's going to be most likely a Hyper Beam converted into the Breakneck Blitz. One of the strongest moves in the game, boosted by the adaptability.
An insane amount of damage.
Yep, hits that Arcanine here, and that is going to be easily a KO. So now it's going to become Porygon Z versus that Celesteela.
Yeah, but that burn onto Smeargle is going to be huge because now Smeargle is going to go down. It's not going to be able to use any of its support moves. And Celesteela, we saw it had special defense boost. It's going to be very tough for Porygon Z to take it out. It wasn't, you know, a Z conversion boost turning into an electric type like we saw famously used in the Japan Nationals and by Marcus at the US Internationals. So you have to imagine it's got Hyper Beam. It's probably got Protect. If it even has Thunderbolt on the set, I mean, it's just not going to be enough to defeat the Celesteela.
Yep, and it looks like the match was forfeited. It looks like Ryan forfeited that match from the way the screen popped up, not really having enough resources on the Porygon Z to be able to pick up the KO on that Celesteela, which might be good information for Zheyuan to have. And yes, that was Zheyuan taking the win there after Ryan selects forfeit.
Yeah, you have to think Ryan just didn't want to reveal any more of his Porygon Z's moveset. But if
you had to think right
the
there
only
that there's
thing
no
is,
Thunderbolt.
Exactly, that's the other thing I was about to say, because that just means he probably didn't have Thunderbolt, because if you have Thunderbolt, you're at least going for it. You can get a critical hit through the special defense boost, and you can definitely survive Heavy Slam, maybe 2 of them, as well as potential full paralysis into a full paralysis. So if you have Thunderbolt, you're never forfeiting there. So that kind of reveals, you know, in a way you're trying to hide information, but then you also kind of reveal you don't have Thunderbolt for the Celesteela by forfeiting there.
Yep, and here we are now going into team preview. Ryan had such a strong start off the bat, but unfortunately he just couldn't maintain it for the end game. So is it going to come down to adjustments, or is it just going to come down to doing the same thing, but, you know, like actual team adjustments, or just how you play differently?
He did get a little bit unlucky there. You saw the burn onto Snorlax. Now, the paralysis onto Mimikyu didn't end up mattering. You didn't really see any full paralysis there, so that was kind of negligible. But that burn onto Snorlax really hurt, and then the burn onto Smeargle really, really hurt because there was just no way to deal with that Celesteela. But when you look at the team, it's going to be really hard to even deal with Celesteela in the first place. You need Mimikyu to get up to +6 thanks to the Psych Up. You need Shadow Claw to hit the Celesteela, but smartly Zheyuan conserved the Celesteela, decided to sacrifice Tapu Koko because he recognized Celesteela was going to be his win condition in this match.
All right, here we go. Game 2 between Zheyuan Huang of the United States of America versus Ryan Lowe. The exact same leads for Ryan. On the other side, Zheyuan, of course, using the Snorlax and Tapu Koko, changing it up just a little bit. Yeah, changing it up both. Yeah, changing it up both ways.
Yep, so it'll be really interesting because Snorlax does have a lot of access. If it goes for a Curse, it can then threaten a lot of damage if Mimikyu decides to set up a Trick Room. But we don't see Gastrodon, and Gastrodon did have Clear Smog last time, which ended up being, you know, very beneficial in neutralizing Snorlax's damage output alongside the burn. So,
yep, Zheyuan now using Volt Switch, gonna switch out and gonna bring in the Gastrodon. So maybe trying to bait the Belly Drum, trying to make Ryan think that it's safe to go for the Belly Drum without the Gastrodon out on the field. But still, that Snorlax using Curse, which is good because it's gonna be able to set up and allow the
oh, there it is.
Belly Drum, but that Snorlax now is actually going to underspeed Ryan's Belly Drum, Ryan's Belly Drummed Snorlax. So with an attack stage,
it's going to be able to threaten a KO there. Yeah, and it's not even like Snorlax could protect and, you know, Mimikyu go for a Psych Up because you still have that Clear Smog threat from Gastrodon. So Zheyuan's definitely in a really good spot here.
Yeah, and oh boy, it's tough. Like, staring down this Gastrodon, you know it's going to remove your stats, so if you try to Psych Up, you're just going to get your Disguise busted, and you're just going to lose your stat changes.
Yeah, and it was exactly as you said. It was pretty much a bait to get Snorlax to think it was safe to go for a Belly Drum while you Volt Switch out into Gastrodon.
And Snorlax revealing Protect here. Maybe that's something that maybe Zheyuan did not expect. The double edge does connect in that Snorlax Protect as Gastron using Clear Smog in that Snorlax Protect, as well as Mimikyu going for the Psych Up. It does go through Protect. It is going to go ahead and copy Snorlax's stat changes, but still, that Clear Smog is going to go before that Mimikyu.
Yes, and Snorlax can still threaten the KO onto the opposing Snorlax with Double Edge, and thanks to Curse, it is going to be slower, and Gastrodon we saw was also slower than Mimikyu, so still a really good position there for Zheyuan, and you have to imagine Celesteela is also in the back.
Yep, and there's a double edge. Zheyuan celebrating from that KO on Ryan Snorlax. Big knockout right there. Gastrodon using Clear Smog, gonna go ahead and bust the disguise, and again clear away Mimikyu's stat changes so that 2 turns essentially wasted just setting up that belly drum because of that Volt Switch bait. And now Mimikyu using Play Rough, but it's not boosted, and you're not gonna get those boosts back. Gastrodon taking no damage at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Ryan because it's just such a well-made team by Zheyuan to just counter exactly what he's going for. He's got the Clear Smog on the Gastrodon, Curse on Snorlax to really take advantage of Trick Room. He's got the Celesteela, which is such a pain to take out. It's just such a well-constructed team, and we saw Gastrodon was the one Pokemon that wasn't just, super standard. In fact, Gastrodon is very, very rarely seen, at least lately in the format, but it's here Gastrodon is playing such a critical role, and you can see exactly why. Snorlax was predicted to be very popular in this tournament. Gastrodon can really deal with that with Clear Smog.
Oh, and the double edge connects on the Porygon Z and picks up the KO immediately, so this Snorlax is doing so much more work than it did in the past game. Well, I forgot if he even came out, even though it was such a short time ago. Again, Gastrodon going for a Clear Smog, as Mimikyu now is forced to reverse the Trick Room, so Ryan now back against the wall. Mimikyu no boosts, and Porygon Z, who has access to the Normalium Z, is KO'd. And now it's going to come down to Mimikyu and Smeargle.
And Smeargle doesn't have any kind of damage capabilities, so this game looks just about over.
And you can't put anything to sleep either because of the electric terrain.
Yep. So it's not looking too good for Ryan here, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Zheyuan, good adjustments. Ryan, I mean, just the lead change and the way you
he
changed
just
it up,
played it
the
perfectly. Volt Switch, baiting the belly drum, getting Gastrodon out. The Clear Smog is just huge in this matchup.
Yep, and Mimikyu now following up with a Psych Up, gonna copy Snorlax's stat change, will get a Curse boost essentially, gonna slow it down a little bit, but the Scald connects on a Mimikyu. Of course, there's no burn there as the electricity does disappear. Now Moody comes out, and this is gonna be a factor, so Mimikyu is the only really attacking force on Ryan's side. It's going to be a defense increase and a special defense drops, but
yeah, but there's still Clear Smog, and you have no way to deal any kind of significant damage, so it's still going to be really difficult. And Tapu Koko's still in the back, so you can block Dark Void just by switching it in.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
You just had to spend another turn having to try to psych up, as Tapu Koko again coming back out on the field to prevent any sort of Smeargle Spore techniques that could possibly come out, and of course threaten heavily even more. Smeargle does go for that Spore, but Tapu Koko again doing its job. The Electric Train is preventing that Pokemon from getting KO'd. Sorry, not KO'd, but put to sleep, as again another Clear Smog. You just can't keep those boosts.
Nope. You spend a turn trying to get those boosts, but then they just get Clear Smogged away. And now Tapu Koko gets to come in and just threaten a ton of damage to both of these Pokemon. Meanwhile, we see just how much that Play Rough is doing from Mimikyu, just not enough.
Yep, and it looks like Ryan, just realized that he just doesn't have any options, and unfortunately, he's just forced to forfeit. And Zheyuan Huang, 2-0 over Ryan Lowe, gonna move on to day 2. And look at that, he's just astonished. He's looking into the crowd for support. And,
Yep, you could see he was excited there, looking at his pals in the crowd there. He's moving on to day 2, so huge congrats there to Zheyuan. And look at that sigh of relief. You can see just how relieved he is to have qualified there in the final round of day 1. It was do or die, and he managed to do it.
Yep, congratulations to Zheyuan Huang for pulling off an exciting. Well, game 1 was exciting. The way that they played it was heavily in Ryan's favor. The way he was all set up. Obviously, Zheyuan had a little bit of fortunate turns because of the paralysis and the burn, which kind of slowed it down a little bit, slowed down Ryan's setup. But again, that Gastron with that clear smog on Zheyuan's side paying off huge dividends, resetting all stat changes.
Yeah, so I was actually looking through a bunch of the teams before the tournament had started, and I saw a surprising number of Gastrodons. And we see in this match exactly why Gastrodon was kind of trending as a tech choice for today's tournament. We see it's very, very good against these Snorlax-type teams, but then it also functions very well against any EV teams, thanks to Clear Smog. It functions very well against Rain teams, thanks to its Storm Drain ability. So it kind of serves like multi-purposes where it's able to counter a number of teams that are just very difficult to deal with and have a number of different tricks up their sleeve. And, you know, you might as well go with 5 standard Pokemon and just one choice that maybe less standard, but is able to dominate all of these kind of setup style teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh boy, oh man, Ray, that was
quite the match.
That was quite the match. I am at lost for words. You know, like we saw a very powerful breakneck blitz, but just didn't have the firepower to take out that Celesteela, and Celesteela just showing its dominance, right?
Yeah, Celesteela is one of the toughest Pokemon to take out in the format, and we saw exactly why. It got that special defense boost. There was just no way for Porygon to be able to take it out. If it had Z conversion and to convert into an electric type, that was really its only way, but as we saw, it had the breakneck blitz, no access to Thunderbolt, just wasn't able to take out Celesteela in that game 1, and then we saw in game 2 the perfect bait there, baiting Snorlax to set up a belly drum as you Volt Switch out into Gastrodon, Clear Smog the boost away. That was all she wrote.
Oh boy, Ray, guess what?
What, Dwee?
More action, because we got more action coming up. It's going to be a match between Arash Omadi and a player from Japan. His name was Kohei Daijo. So, yeah, Arash Omadi, of course, one of the former world champions.
Yep, Arash
2013
looking to get back into day 2, win another world champion, but this is going to be a really tough matchup. Let's see if he can qualify in this high-pressure situation, which we know as a former world champion, he's been in a number of times. So if there's anybody, we said this before about Cams, but it's also true about Arash. If there's anybody in the field who's able to deal with this kind of do-or-die pressure, it's somebody who's gone through it before, and that would be a player like Arash.
Absolutely, Ray. And you know, we don't exactly know what game state they're in right now, and we're getting ready to throw it to as we prepare that match. And again, it's going to be the exact same setup. It's going to be, you know, both players trying to qualify for day 2. Both players are currently 4-2, just one more win and in, and it's tough. You know, it's so much pressure is on these players, and I can barely handle it from even behind the desk.
Yeah, it's tough watching these kind of scenarios behind the desk because, you know, one player is going to win and just feel so relieved, and then the other player is just going to feel heartbroken, having come so close to advancing to day 2, but falling just short. But that's just the nature of this competition. There's so many very talented players here in day 1, and then day 2 is only going to get tougher.
Yeah, well, guess what? We're ready to toss it to the match, I believe.
Perfect.
Arash Omadi running a team of Whimsicott, Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, and Celesteela. I'm not exactly sure what Kohei has on his side, but, you know, I believe Arash has been a fan of Whimsicott for a while now. Jumping into the action here in Game 2, Arash has taken Game 1 over Kohei. It looks like the Arcanine on Arash's side is going to switch out and going to switch into Celesteela, as the Arcanine and Tapu Fini on Kohei's side are ready to stare it down. It looks like Garchomp here goes for an Earthquake, so that's a very synergistic switch right there into that Celesteela, doing a good amount of damage to that Arcanine. They're going to be close to activate a berry if that Arcanine is carrying a berry, as the Tapu Fini goes for a Moonblast here, connects onto that Garchomp slot, does a lot of damage and picks up the KO. I'm not sure if that Tapu Fini has gotten boosts earlier, or if it's carrying a choice specs.
Yeah, don't know if it's Calm Mind and, you know, boosted up its special attack, or if it's choice specs. It could have been either or, but I'm sure, of course, Arash is going to be aware of what the state of this Tapu Fini is, and I'm sure we will see, especially if this heads into a Game 3, because we are only currently in Game 2 of this match.
Yeah, and, you know, well, that was the first KO right there. Garchomp being the first knockout that Kohei has picked up at all. Not at all, but, like, first KO, sorry. Oh, I apologize. First KO picked up this game, as now Arash has to try to figure out what Pokemon to send in the best. We've already seen the Arcanine in the front, which got switched out into the back, and now it looks like Arcanine is going to come back out and you know, drop some more Intimidates onto the Arcanine on Kohei's side.
Yep, the Intimidate will be really useful against Kohei's Arcanine, and if this Tapu Fini is Choice Specs and locked into Moonblast, then you have no fear of anything like a Muddy Water. So perhaps it is Choice Specs, and Arash knows that, and that's why he's bringing in the Arcanine right here. So this could be a very good switch in because Arcanine is also low and intimidated. Celesteela is in a good spot here against the Tapu Fini. Even Arcanine's moveset, some Arcanines even feel like carrying Wild Charge just for Pokemon like Tapu Fini. So we'll see what Arash has on his Arcanine's moveset.
I've seen variants where they carry the Electrium Z, so that they can actually go for a Gigavolt Havoc to be able to pick up KOs on Tapu Finis, which normally Arcanine has an issue dealing with. Instead, Kohei switching out the Arcanine on his side, gonna switch into the Togedemaru, a Pokemon that has actually won a regional championship so far in the season. Moonblast from that Tapu Fini doing a lot of damage to that Arcanine, even though it's not very effective here. As Arcanine goes for a Flare Blitz, gonna hit and pick up the KO on that Togedemaru, most likely just sacrificing it anyways and trying to get a free switch in at the moment. And now it looks like Arcanine is taking recoil, still a little bit over 50% of his health left, as the Celesteela goes for a Flamethrower, maybe expecting the Togedemaru to switch into that slot. I believe I also saw a Kartana in the back as well.
Then you have to imagine that's what Arash was going for. Considering Tapu Fini just went for a Moonblast again against these two targets, it's most likely Choice Specs, and Arash probably knows that. That's why he went for the double fire moves. He probably also expected Togedemaru to be in the back and potentially switch in there, so that's also why if his Arcanine has something like a Wild Charge, he didn't want to go for that and have Togedemaru just redirect that attack. A fire move was just much safer, and now Kartana not in a good spot against either of these two Pokemon. Tapu Fini locked into Moonblast, also not in a good spot. Arash is in a very commanding position in this game too.
Yep, and Kartana has already taken some damage. It's currently down to, you know, last bit of its hit points right there. Again, I don't exactly know what item that Kartana has, and I don't know exactly what it has that could possibly deal with that Arcanine on the other side, but Arash is scared. He's going to go ahead and switch out the Arcanine and switch into the Tapu Fini here, as it's going to go ahead and bring out its Misty Terrain to, you know, well, that's what it just does every time it comes out, right? The Tapu Fini on Kohei's side going to switch out, going to try to reset the attack that it's going to be locked into with that Choice Specs, as Arcanine comes in, going to reduce the damage of that Heavy Slam on that Celesteela over on Arash's side, as now Kartana using Detect. Not going to want to get KO'd, possibly by that Arcanine. Maybe trying to set himself up in a better position. But of course, Arash's Celesteela doing what Celesteela is very well known for, setting up a Leech Seed, trying to, you know, set up for the end game.
Yeah, Arash definitely predicted that turn very well, knew there was no way Kartana was going for an attack there, staring down a Flamethrower, Celesteela, and an Arcanine, and had to imagine that that Choice Specs lock Tapu Fini was going to switch out into Arcanine, went for a Leech Seed to get some residual damage done onto the Arcanine, heal up your Celesteela a little bit more, and then position your board to be in a much stronger state by getting your Tapu Fini out, threatening the Arcanine, and even if Kartana goes for a Leaf Blade that's very risky because that can get KO'd by Celesteela, Arcanine can easily come back in here for Arash, adding Intimidate onto two physical attackers and resisting whatever attacks either of those two Pokemon throw out. So you have to imagine Arcanine is going to come in here for one of these two Pokemon for Arash.
Yep, and here we are coming into the turn now. It looks like Arcanine is going to switch out for Tapu Fini, as Arash also going to switch out as well. Preserving that Tapu Fini, going to come in with Arcanine. Going to use its Intimidate ability to mitigate the amount of damage that Kartana can do. All right, here we go. The Kartana stays in. It goes... Oh no, Celesteela goes for Protect, and Kohei reacting here. What is going to happen? It looks like it's going to be an all-out pummeling here from that Kartana.
That's a huge prediction. It's got to be into Arcanine. Considering Kohei's celebration there, predicting that Tapu Fini to get out of there, bring Arcanine back in. He just had to predict which slot it was, and looks like he predicted correctly.
Yep, and here we are, the all-out pummeling, hitting in that Arcanine slot. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO from that already damaged Arcanine? It is, despite the Intimidate, so big damage right there from Kohei, and Kohei, you know, definitely had a reason to react there. It is also going to get a Beast Boost, which is one thing that Kartana loves getting because that just makes it so much harder to deal with.
That's going to be huge because Tapu Fini may have been able to take a lowered stage of attack Kartana's Leaf Blade, whereas now, thanks to that Beast Boost, very unlikely to be able to take that attack. And with Arcanine in the back for Kohei, Celesteela, it's all going to depend on how the Pokemon are trained, but now suddenly the tides have turned thanks to that huge prediction by Kohei, and now he's the one who may be at an advantage this turn.
And it's crazy how the momentum can swing just by having that one prediction. You know, that Tapu Fini switched out, usually Leaf Blade in that slot, and Kohei again reacting Leaf Blade into that Tapu Fini. No protects from that Tapu Fini, picks up the KO, a critical hit right there. That's going to go ahead and just, if it even had a drop, it would have ignored it anyways, and now Celesteela content with probably just going for a flamethrower in that Kartana slot, but that opens up the door for Arcanine to come in and seal a deal. Muddy Water connecting on a Celesteela, doing a lot of damage here, but Celesteela instead setting up the lead seat here, not ready to KO and deal with that Arcanine just yet.
Yeah, if he would have KO'd the Kartana with Flamethrower, Celesteela just wouldn't have been able to deal with both Tapu Fini and Arcanine, so instead trying to stall it out with Leech Seed, regain some health, but it's going to be really difficult because once Arcanine comes in, the game is pretty much over. So Kohei really playing well there. I mean, he kind of had to go for such a gutsy prediction there. Usually your Z moves, you'd never use Z moves predicting a switch, but there, that was Kohei's only opportunity to get this game back. He had to not only predict the switch, but predict what slot that switch was coming in, and he did that perfectly. Looks like he's going to take this to a Game 3.
Celesteela protecting itself here, going to try to draw back as much hit points as possible. Not wanting, again, to KO the Kartana, allowing Celesteela to heal back up. Maybe even try to take that Tapu Fini out before to make it kind of a one-on-one situation. So Arash really trying to play those outs. You know, you got to respect that because you're one win away from making it to Day 2 of the World Championships, and you don't want to surrender that just yet.
Yeah, because it also, I mean, maybe Celesteela is going to get a defense boost by KOing like Kartana with Flamethrower, so maybe there's a way. And he does have the Bury, so that's a way to heal back up, so it's not over just yet. Muddy Water, of course, can miss.
And that is going to be a Mago Berry, and Tapu Fini gets to go for a Muddy Water. It is going to be a single target Muddy Water, and that is going to do a good amount of damage, so not quite out of range just yet for Arash. You know, Arcanine is just going to easily come in here and just go for a Flare Blitz and pick up the KO. It is going to be a boost here. I believe that is a special defense boost right there as the Tapu Fini gets its health drained yet again.
Yeah, Arash really needed a Muddy Water miss there. That way he could kind of stall out the remainder of Tapu Fini's hit points with the Leech Seed and Protect, and then just hope Celesteela is able to take an Arcanine Flare Blitz. But unfortunately, Tapu Fini hit the Muddy Water. It did like half of Celesteela's HP, and now there's no way Celesteela is going to be able to take Flare Blitz from Arcanine.
Yep, and
it doesn't even look like it can take a Muddy Water from Tapu Fini.
That should do it here for Game 2, and now, guess what, Ray? We get more Pokemon action because we're about to go to Game 3 as Arcanine goes for a Flare Blitz. Both players extend their hands and know that this is going to go to the Game 3. And here we go. Game 3 between Arash Amadi versus Kohei Daijo. Winner moves on to Day 2. The loser, unfortunately, becomes a spectator.
Yeah, this is such a pressure-filled game coming up because it is a Game 3. Both players have taken a game off each other. They've clearly got a read on how the other plays because we saw such incredible predictions coming out from Kohei there in Game number 2. Arash taking Game 1. Surely he must have had a read on his opponent there in that first game. Game 3 now, you take everything you've learned from the previous 2 matches, whether it's how the opponent likes to play, their tendencies, what Pokemon you want to bring in this particular matchup, what Pokemon you think your opponent's going to bring, and then you give it your all in this final game. Oh, I wouldn't want to be one of those players fighting for my life in a game number 3. This is really intense.
And especially when you're facing off against a world champion like Arash Amadi. So, oh boy, here we go. Ray, are you ready?
I am so ready. Looks like Arash needs some water here. This is going to be a really intense final game, and I can't imagine how he's feeling. He probably just, after losing, he needs, a drink, needs to cool off,
It's refreshing, right?
It's refreshing. He needs to take a breath, take like a moment to just regather himself, get back into the mindset of, okay, let me focus 100% on this final game, give it my all. I don't want any kind of outside distractions. I don't want to even think about or remember any potential things that went wrong in that last game other than, things that I want to improve on. I'm just only focusing here on this final game.
Yep. And we actually have Kohei Daijo's team right now It is a team of Tapu Fini, Porygon 2, Gigalith, Kartana, Arcanine, and Togedemaru.
Yep, pretty standard team there. A couple of months ago, we saw this combination gain an immense amount of popularity. It was used by a number of players at the largest grassroots tournament held in Japan, and it was used by a number of the top finishing players. And then we saw all of the Western players kind of pick up on this team, and then they started dominating Western regionals with it, and we saw it a lot at American Internationals, though it did tend to kind of decrease in popularity once we hit American Internationals. A lot of players started to realize counters to the team because there were some weaknesses that you could kind of prey on, but here we see the team, probably Kohei's just steady team that he's very comfortable with, team that he's probably just used throughout the year, just has comfort with the team. And when you're at Worlds, I mean, sometimes comfort is best, something that you know how to play to the optimum level that it needs to be played at. You just go with that, whether it's, you know, a metagame call or not. Sometimes you just want to go for what you're comfortable with, and that could be what Kohei's going for here.
And here we are now, jumping into team preview of Game 3. Both players ready to get underway here. The deciding game of the tournament for both players' tournament lives. Again, on Arash's side, he will be running the Whimsicott, Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, and Celesteela. Arash, of course, the 2013 World Champion. You know, using a very interesting meta call team, I would say, back in 2013. Of course, there's the sportsmanship, there's the handshake. Both players ready to get underway, using all that knowledge that they've learned. Games 1, Games 2, and here we are. Ray, are you ready?
I am so ready, Dwee.
Give it up for both of these players. You know, it takes a lot to make it all the way here at the World Championships. It takes a lot to be one win away, and it looks like Arash is ready to go, leading with Arcanine and Tapu Fini, and it looks like it's going to be the exact same leads on the other side as well. It's going to be Tapu Fini and Arcanine. The Intimidate from Arcanine on Kohei's side is going to activate first, representing that it could possibly be faster than the Arcanine on Arash's side. Well, alright, so it's going to come down to possible speed ties. Looks like Tapu Fini's Misty Terrain is also going to activate first as well and be the one that sets, so that means that Kohei's is going to be faster.
Yeah, both of Kohei's Pokemon are faster than both, well, let me rephrase that.
Speed tie.
The Arcanine is at least either as fast or faster than Arash's Arcanine, and then Kohei's Tapu Fini is either at least as fast as or faster than Arash's Tapu Fini. So that does reveal speeds a little and puts Arash in a little bit of a disadvantage, but at least when you have that knowledge, you can kind of play around it. And you know that Kohei's Tapu Fini is Specs, so...
Ooh, a Wild Charge from Kohei's Arcanine doing a little bit of damage, super effective damage, at least onto the Tapu Fini on Arash's side. As now, ooh, again, a reaction here. Kohei, it looks like Arash maybe trying to predict a possible switch right there.
Trying to call that Kartana.
Yep, hitting into that Arcanine slot. Arash not happy with himself at all. And Tapu Fini goes for a Muddy Water here. It is going to connect onto the... Oh, big damage onto Arcanine on Arash's side. And Arash loses a huge pivot on his team with that Intimidate switch.
Yep, and let's see the Muddy Water coming from Arash's side. Now that was Specs Muddy Water from Kohei's side, which was able to pick up the KO onto Arcanine. And here, unfortunately, Muddy Water is not enough. As we see, Arash's Tapu Fini does not carry Choice Specs and just doesn't have the damage to be able to take out Arcanine. So this puts Kohei in a huge advantage, taking out Arcanine on turn 1. And you know he's probably got that Kartana in the back. And Arcanine is one of the big counters to that Pokemon, although Celesteela also is. So Arcanine is very low. This isn't terrible for Arash because he does have Celesteela, which Kohei doesn't have. So this is going to have to be Arash's win condition, I think. Yep,
and we saw that the Tapu Fini on Arash's side survived a Wild Charge from the Arcanine and a Muddy Water as well. So you want to say that, I kind of want to say right here that Arash might just protect Celesteela and go for a Muddy Water, you know, not really fearing getting KO'd just yet by the Pokemon over on Kohei's side.
Unless he also wants to go for, if he's feeling kind of risky, he could Flamethrower the Arcanine slot and then try and predict that Kartana switch in again. But it is risky, but it's something that Arash has shown in the previous turn. He's willing to try and predict that Kartana switch, and does he go for it here? And
yeah, here it is. Arcanine switching out. It looks like a Pokemon's coming in.
It's Togedemaru.
Togedemaru comes in.
Still, Flamethrower would be great against it.
Absolutely. And we don't see any protection just yet, as it looks like a Muddy Water miss, I believe.
Yep, looks like it missed on Tapu Fini.
Gonna connect onto that Celesteal. Of course, that Choice Specs makes it do so much damage here. And now the Moonblast from Arash's Tapu Fini connecting onto Kohei's Tapu Fini does a lot of damage with a critical hit right there. Celesteal does stay on the offensive, sets up a Leech Seed and trying to stay on the field as long as possible.
Yep, so Arash, though, did correctly predict that Arcanine was probably going to switch out there. Decided to double target the Tapu Fini. Unfortunately, a Heavy Slam would have KO'd it, so I think I would have preferred to see Heavy Slam there, but Leech Seed a little bit safer, wants to regain some HP rather than pick up the knockout, but we'll see if it pays off, because this Tapu Fini is faster than both of Arash's Pokemon, so a knockout would have been better than just weakening it a little bit more.
Sorry, Togedemaru, I believe, is also floating. We saw a lot of messages there. I think it might be carrying an air balloon.
Yeah, which might be... I don't know if it'll, matter in this match, especially considering we've got Tapu Fini out, we've got a Flamethrower Celesteela out, but, if there are any ground-type moves coming in later in the game, then that might play an effect in this matchup, but...
Yeah. All right, Togedemaru now going straight for a Zing Zap, going to connect onto Arash's Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini on Arash's side hangs on as Tapu Fini on Kohei's side connects with the Muddy Water. No misses right there. Going to hit both Tapu Fini on Arash's side and the Celesteela with an accuracy drop there on that Celesteela. So Arash really back against the wall right here. And now Celesteela going to go for a Flamethrower. It does connect through that accuracy drop, hitting that Togedemaru. Doing decent amount of damage right here. Does get a burn. Going to reduce the amount of damage that Zing Zap does. That's going to make Celesteela a little bit longer, be able to stay out on the field a lot longer. And Tapu Fini now barely hangs on from that Leech Seed sapping right there as Celesteela continues to heal itself back up. And that kind of puts a timer on Togedemaru as well.
That's pretty big, especially if Tapu Koko's in the back for Arash potentially. Then, the lower Togedemaru gets an HP. We already see Arcanine's pretty low. That could kind of clean up late game.
Yeah. All right. Arash now down to his final two Pokemon. Going to switch in the Garchomp.
Garchomp's just as good because that's still faster than all of Kohei's Pokemon that we've seen so far. And with that Air Balloon broken now, Earthquake is going to be able to clean up all of Tapu Fini, Arcanine, and Togedemaru. So Arash is in a good position here.
Arash may have all the pieces just yet, despite all the unfortunate mishappenings coming into turns 1, 2, and 3. So Arash is still in there. You're going to... This is tournament life on the line. You're going to be doing as much as you can to try to get this win.
Yeah, but it's not over if Kartana's in the back, and we know Celesteela has an accuracy drop, so it is going to need to hit a Flamethrower against against Kartana.
Yep, and here it is. Togedemaru switching out, going to go into Arcanine, going to get that Intimidate off right now, also preserving that fake out pressure for later on in the game. The Intimidate is going to matter a lot to the Garchomp over on Arash's side, and the Garchomp does go for an Earthquake. It is going to be able to pick the KO on the Tapu Fini and the Arcanine on Kohei's side. So now the Togedemaru gets to come in with fake out support and what is most likely the Kartana. You're right.
Yeah, you have to imagine it's probably Kartana there in the back.
Yeah, and here we go. The last two Pokemon on each side, and this is it. Is Arash's Celesteela and Garchomp going to be enough to be able to send Arash into Day 2, or is this Togedemaru and the Kartana going to be enough to send Kohei into Day 2 of the World Championships?
It's going to be so close because this Kartana, we saw it has
all-out pummeling.
Z. Is that going to be enough to pick up the knockout onto Celesteela? You've got fake out pressure from Togedemaru. Who do you want to target there if you're that Kartana? Do you go for the all-out pummeling onto Celesteela, or do you hope that Flamethrower just misses and instead you try and focus down that Garchomp and worry about Celesteela later with your Togedemaru?
Here we go. Celesteela protects itself, not wanting to get hit with anything just quite yet. It looks like Togedemaru went for a possible fake out into that Celesteela slot. A double target into that slot. Arash looks relieved here as it looks like Garchomp now goes for an Earthquake. That is going to be the KO on that Togedemaru and doing a good amount of chip on that Kartana as well. So a double into that Celesteela protect. Big protect. And unfortunate double into that slot right there. Oh, sorry. It looks like Kartana now going for a Swords Dance.
Oh, boy. Now it's definitely going to be able to pick up the knockout onto Celesteela. And Garchomp is going to be locked into Earthquake because it is Choice Scarfed. And Celesteela had just protected, so it can't protect again. And thanks to the Intimidate onto Garchomp and Kartana's massive defense, it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
This Kartana might just have enough to win this game for Kohei.
Arash still has his outs, though. Arash still has his outs.
Yep, definitely. This game is by no means over. Especially if Earthquake just gets a critical hit. That alone is enough to end it.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to the wire here. So, oh boy, oh boy. Here we go. The final turns of this game here. And now it looks like Garchomp goes for an Earthquake here.
So depending on which one.
Kartana. Where is Kohei going with this attack? Kohei goes for the all-out pummeling here. Gonna most likely hit this Celesteal and pick up the KO.
The only thing, if you KO Celesteal, Earthquake's going to become single target,
yeah.
and that should be enough to pick up the KO onto Kartana. But if this is Garchomp, that's going to KO, and then Flamethrower can miss from Celesteela. So I think that's what Kohei's going to go for.
Here it is. It goes into Celesteela. That should be enough to pick up the KO right there, and that does get the KO, and now it's going to come down to Garchomp's Earthquake at full power. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO on the Kartana? It's going to be so close. Both these players know. Kartana gets an attack boost, but that's... Oh,
yeah,
so close. 3 stages of increased attack for this Kartana.
Yeah, we saw Earthquake did about 40 damage each previous time. A single target Earthquake should be enough to pick this up, but let's see.
The Earthquake on from Garchomp on that Kartana, gonna be so close. Full power now. Kohei, oh! Kartana hangs on! Kartana hangs on, goes for a Leaf Blade, picks up the KO on the Garchomp. Rough Skin is going to go ahead and activate, but due to the tiebreaker rules, Kartana should be the one that gets the victory, and Kohei's Kartana giving its last breath to be able to send Kohei all the way to the final, or day 2 of the World Championships.
Yeah, look at that reaction
so
from
close.
Kohei. He's so relieved and he's so excited to be able to advance. That was such... Garchomp just... so close to knocking out Kartana there. 4 hit points. I mean, that was a single target Earthquake. We saw it did about 40 damage each of the previous times, so it could have knocked out the Kartana. It all depended on what kind of damage roll it got there, and we see Kohei's very emotional there. He's so relieved, so excited. And then Arash, he came so close. Very disappointing. If you're Arash, you came so close. Unfortunately, not close enough to advance to day 2, but it was a very well played set by Arash. He made so many wonderful plays since we had tuned in, and considering he won game 1, he must have made even more very intelligent plays. And it's just unfortunate trying to see that both of these players can't advance. Only one of them could, but